Okay, this is the guy that works for Stapleton. Now, this guy is a little bit more better. He's more better. And I guess I see Stapleton commented on my critique of his Gartley patterns, and he said everybody's a critic. Well, I am critical all day long. And for the reason that I'm critical about myself, I'm critical about other traders, critical about actually kind of curious, questioning this whole foundation that people approach the market with. And I really want to, this guy here at least has some substance here, and he's going to take you through this New Zealand dollar trade and techniques versus strategies versus tactics versus, and as far as the execution go. Now he has this, and I know a lot of people like to come up with, people write books and stuff, and they have like the 7 keys to this, and it's always 7 because I think that's like one of those mystic numbers. There's the 7th wave and all that stuff, and so that whatever that is, right? I like the 3 keys. Of course, you can have 1 key, right? But that's a good way to. But in the end, it's really about your own personal. Like I said, this Paul Tudor Jones guys, I'll never forget Paul Tudor Jones in a video on Betamax before VHS took over, and he's sitting there literally in front of a screen on a phone trading the yen, and he has no chart. I don't think he had a chart. Of course, you couldn't see what he's looking at. I think he was just looking at the ticker. The guy's making money, and maybe he's trading on his gut, right? Now, in this video here, this guy's going to tell you that this one winning trade, this retracement trade, this counter trend trade, wasn't a good trade because you didn't follow your rules. I guess that's true. If your rule is run a tight stop, and that's certainly a relative term because some people tight stops 100 pips. But if your risk to reward ratios are correct and you're not over trading, you're going to make money. And that's about how silly it is, really. And when I first started trading, the motto or the creed was, well, can you replicate that trade? Are you just making money randomly? Or can you replicate that, right? So let's let this guy, he's going to take you through this New Zealand thing. Let me just get to his.
Be as mentally tough as you want, but if you don't have a solid trading plan, if you don't have a system, a strategy that you follow that has a positive expectancy, then you're not going to make money.
Okay, that's true. He's true, but let's just some of the traps that I think a lot of these people are falling into, and I've studied. I don't say I'm not like the final distillation of truth. I'm always learning, and what I've learned from spending thousands of dollars studying with trading coaches is that expectation outcome is your first obstacle. The idea that you're expecting an outcome, this is like you're in a restaurant. There's a beautiful girl. She's sitting by herself. And you sit down in front of her, and of course, the old thing would be, what's your opening line, right? What's your strategy? What's your technique? What's the opening line? And if you give a cliche opening line, unless you give it in a certain style, she's just going to be like, oh, you're another one of these stalkers, So let me just continue. But a lot of the stuff here, I mean, every moment as this guy's unfolding, and bless his heart, right? He's at least got his own, came up with his own acronym or his own kind of formula. And I notice a lot of these people have this formula approach, like what you do. Of course, you don't want to just come into the market as a drunken sailor and trade and like, hey, I'm going to make money. I'm crazy. And just, but you'd be surprised how, well, certainly the beginner's luck, right? The guy that has never traded in his life is making money. He's like, wow, this is easy. Yeah, because no fear. He has no clue. He just happened to get into the trade at the right time. And now he's actually in more trouble because now he thinks it's just so easy, as opposed to the guy that just gets hammered and says, well, I got to go read more books because maybe I'm missing something here, right?
I think that's where a handful of traders run into trouble. Most of you have learned to trade on your own, or going through Google searches, YouTube, all of that fun stuff, and you've learned a lot. I've done the same way. You've learned about ABCD patterns, double tops, double bottoms, all of these different techniques, not strategies, techniques. And each time you learn about one of these new
Well, I think he's wrong there. It's not a technique. The technique would be executing the trade. That takes technique. Analyzing, looking at a double top and a double bottom is really pattern recognition. Has nothing to do with technique or strategy. He's totally wrong there, I think. Just saying. Think about it, right? Look up the definitions of these words. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Of course, you know, this is what gives me a chance to rant on YouTube, is that I don't need a degree, or I don't need certification. It's an unregulated world. I guess, you know, between Bitcoin and YouTube, you know, you can almost have some freedom here, and you can speak your piece. And I'm not going to rattle off all the people I studied with and stuff. I'm not going to try to tell you that I'm right. I'm right for me. I'm trying to be logical, and I'm not a hater in terms of, I'm not criticizing this guy just to criticize him. I'm saying, let me think about what he's saying. Is he right? He's going to be right. He's going to be right on some things, right? And is it right for you? Well, for a serial killer, right, maybe it's not right for you because you don't care anyways. You don't care anyway to Tuesday what happens, right? I'm presupposing that ethical, moral people are watching this guy and they're trying to make ethical, moral money, right? I mean, trading against the big house, right? I mean, you can't move the market with your orders, so you're kind of at the mercy of whatever happens on the gridiron on the football field. So you're just like a cheerleader, right? You can't hardly be. You're not in the game. You just stand on the sidelines and hope somebody throws you the ball.
Any techniques, you're excited about going into the market and using them.
Well, that's probably a bad thing to be too excited, overly excited, right? Because then you overtrade.
And the problem is that many of you misunderstand these techniques for strategies, meaning you're thinking an ABCD pattern is a strategy that you can trade. And, you know, if I continue to consistently trade ABCD patterns, I'm going to make money in the market. If I consistently trade double tops or double bottoms, I'm going to make money in the market. And that's not true at all.
So he's right. He's totally right. But it's also not a technique.
Although these tools are great, they're great techniques, they mean nothing if...
No, a technique would be, okay, I'm going to buy at the market, or I'm going to sell on a limit, or I'm going to sell on a stop. That's a technique. That's a skill level of execution. I just don't think, you know, maybe I'll go look it up here on the interweb here. Let me go look up the word technique, right? You know, thank God for the internet. I can go to Merriam-Webster's dictionary here. And it's a way of doing something. It has nothing to do by using special knowledge or skill. And of course, the special knowledge and skill would be the ability to come to your platform here and place an order. You're going to put a new order in, and here's a technique, right? Here's the technique. This is the. Are you going to place a pending order, right? You're going to put that order down here. You're going to choose expiration. This is a manner of doing something, right? This is your technique. It's not a strategy. It's completely. But I don't want to nitpick, but I love to nitpick just because I guess what I'm saying is that you can't take what people are saying just because they're on the YouTube, or even what I'm saying. If you think I'm wrong, I'd love to hear the other side. I always wanted to be an attorney, but I could never handle the schoolwork because. My God, it's like 8 years of school, right? I fall asleep reading a book, so that's why I do a video. That's why I don't really type a blog, you know. I guess I could, right? But I'm not really looking. I'm just looking to open people's eyes. That's all. And in question, you know, there's a lot of people come to the market to make money, and some people just come because it's just fascinating. It's a fascinating sport, but. Really think about stuff like, and I mean these people have a huge. I like his modest, non-Jason Stapleton background there.
You don't kind of put the puzzle pieces together and use them with each other. And I want to show you 2 trades today that demonstrate that. The first one is going to start on, let's go to New Zealand dollar. This is actually an example we looked at today. There's a trader that is coming through my training course who brought this to my attention. I wasn't trading it, and he's almost at the end of it, so he's disciplined enough that he didn't enter the trade. But I think it serves as a good example for the point I was getting across. If we go to the Kiwi, the New Zealand dollar on the 1 hourly, you'll see a beautiful harmonic move in ABCD pattern. So we're looking at something like that. Boom, A to B, B to C in the form of a retracement.
Okay, that's really inconsequential. If I see another guy, other than myself, of course, show you the history, I'm only showing you entries. He's going to show this ABC stuff, man. This is just... All right, let's have it.
And then if we clone this and bring it on down here, you'll see, bang, a wonderful ABCD pattern. Essentially, we came down and bottomed right at that level.
I agree. You should clone that price pulse because that is an example of momentum. And notice that when that price pulse came down, it lost its velocity. It did hit the price target, but you lost that velocity there. So that's an indication that you should be buying. He's going to tell you that was a bad trade to buy there, though.
We can also add in some Fibonacci confluence, taking our
Okay, we don't need Fibonacci. Now, this is another big downfall of traders, I think, is the magical thinking, the mystical thinking, sorry, I got to make some coffee here. Yeah, that to me is just wow. It's like the idea that you can see Jesus in a Ritz cracker, right? I mean, it's just, okay, you can, right? If I mentally prime you, and this is why this Jason guy who commented on my, I said, he doesn't understand that you're really, like, if I tell you what the lyrics are in a song where you can't understand the lyrics, you're going to not be able to get that out of your mind. It's going to be stuck in your brain. You're never going to be able to let go of that. You've been primed, you've been set up, mentally set up. And this is an example of a poor trade would be buying this one man's target's another man's entry, in my opinion. And he just missed a great trade there, but he's going to tell you that that's a bad trade because you're not following your rule set.
Fibonacci extension tool, dragging that from our A leg to our B leg, and back up. Oh, we got a 1618 down here.
Yeah, now look at these numbers here. It's all garbage. Well, this is going to do nothing but distract you from what's really happening in the market at the moment. This is like you whipping out you're on a date with a girl, right? And you hacked into her Facebook and you're like, right in the middle of the date, you whip out this picture from 8 years ago and you say, what was going on here, honey? What's this about? I mean, it's not, you're gonna destroy the moment you're in with this woman you're trying to, con into marrying and making babies with you. So you're gonna blow the whole thing up because you're gonna go back test her. So you can go back test her on the day, right?
We're close. We're in the zone. We have a 1618 close to it. Let me just see something. Is this a 3 drives as well? Sorry, I haven't talked.
See, now the 3 drive thing, that's another big fallacy of trading that I hear. 3 drives. If I hear that 3 drives, God, man, really, you're just missing what's really going on at the moment. The market's telling a story in real time. I realize you can look back on a chart, and that's the problem with charts is it has all that history, right? Like I said, you wouldn't bring... of course, you're on the date with the girl, right? You're going to say, hey, what'd you do today? You may not say, what did you do 8.5 years ago? And why'd you do that? And what was, and like, well, you're going to sync what you were doing 8.5 years ago? And you're going to like do correlations? People just overthinking this trading thing.
About this chart a lot. Look at that. Oh, even a 3 drives pattern, even better. Let's clone this one more time, and you can see a 3 drives pattern down here. So you can see the market's been moving very harmonically. Essentially, we've been doing equal moves down. And then we've been retracing and then putting in equal moves down once again. And we're coming down to a level where we're saying, hey, the market has retraced twice already after these harmonic moves. 3rd time's a charm. Let's get involved. Now, many of you are watching this video and you're seeing the fact that we did bounce off this level and shoot up. That was due to the non-farm payroll that came out this morning. Just because if you happen to enter this trade, you would have made some pips, you would have made some profit, doesn't make it a good trade. Remember.
Wow. Now, is it just me? That is a killer trade. That's the trade. In fact, that trade made so much pips in such a short period of time. Just like this one, right? Of course, trading all day long, that's one of my favorite trades, right? Quick and dirty. And that's a problem. That's a real problem for a guy like this who is probably the most moral, ethical person in the world. I'm going to bet you any amount of money this guy probably pays his bills on time and all that stuff. And I really do think that if you could find somebody in prison, if you could find a sociopath in prison and send him, say, a Dell 8-inch tablet and give him some scripts and tell him, when you see this, do that, he'd be making a ton of money because he has no conscience. He has no framework of ethics and stuff like that. Well, trading is a different kind of gig than being a musician. You want to learn all the scales, right? I mean, I could find there's a girl I met at a party once. She was all of like 20. She's probably 22 years old, and she started playing guitar. She started playing my guitar, and she was not bad, right? And she said, "Oh, I can't play guitar." She was strumming because she just kind of like was doing what she saw other people do, probably for years. But she just kind of like, fake it till you can make it, right? And I guess the seriousness that people approach money with is also a problem because they're like, well, this is a very serious endeavor. Trading's a business, blah, blah, blah. Very serious. But there's other people like Bill Williams who trades standing up listening to music, right? He trades standing up because he can breathe better and put some music on because he wants to kind of tap into his right brain instead of his left brain. Now, left brain trading, this guy's really left brain trading in a way, I mean, anyways, let me, he's gonna get to his acronym or his he's got a syntax. He's got a like an order that he approaches the market with. We're gonna get there. But if this is a poor trade, then I need to, like, if this is a poor trade, then, well, according to his rule system, he's not following his rules. Therefore, it's a poor trade. And I would say it's a poor trade if your risk to reward ratios are off. In other words, if your position sizing and your stops aren't tight enough, that's a bad trade, right? In other words, if you're going to say, I'm going to put break-even orders in, or I'm going to risk 300 pips to make 100 pips because I know I'm right, how dare they stop me out, I consider that a bad trade, right? That's a poor trade. Yeah, not necessarily making money, not making money. I mean, making money doesn't mean it's a great trade. And it could be a poor trade if you made money from it, if that's not what you plan to do, or you just kind of, because everybody wants to be able to replicate what they're doing so they can take that tool, that gun they built, right? And they can say, okay, now I built my gun. I can go out and kill these animals, and I can just become the ultimate hunter, the ultimate sniper, because I tuned my scope. I figured out which bullets I need, how many grains. I pack my own bullets. Everything's dialed in. Therefore, I'm going to be successful. And yeah, you will in that world, But trading being so dynamic, so chaotic, it's a different skill set. You do have to have some mental toughness. You have to be able to, of course, the moment you pull the trigger on the trade, you're down, right? You're down the spread or you're down commission. So you're immediately a loser. You have to become a real good loser. You have to enjoy losing. Like if you ever done any martial arts, you have to enjoy getting your ass kicked, right? You have to kind of, when I did this one martial arts style, it was Isshinryu, you would sit there, and when you got to a certain belt level, about mid belt level, you would sit there and people just beat on you, right? And it was your ability to endure that beating and not flinch and kind of mentally enjoy it to the level which it didn't wound you, because you'd set your body up into kind of this barrier where you represented that hit to yourself differently. In other words, you reframed everything that's happened to you. You reframed in sense of this is not that this is not happening, but you just kind of reinterpret it to yourself so you can endure it, right? In trading, it does take that kind of like if you're having a losing day or a losing hour, or losing week or month or year or 10 years, all your normal friends and stuff are going to tell you, well, what are you doing that for? Like if it was that easy, everybody do it and everybody loses. Well, yeah, but when they say 95% of traders lose, well, 95% of people that open their own business lose. I mean, I saw people open coffee shops when coffee was really in about 6 or 8 years ago, and everybody wanted to open their own coffee shop. Well, guess what? They went out of business. Of course, there was a recession coming, but even after that, I mean, Starbucks, who could compete with Starbucks where you could just, the whole atmosphere, you go in there and it's, I mean, and they had the, they could just knock it out, right? Okay, I'm getting carried away tangentially thinking. That's my big issue is tangential thinking. But anyways, go back to this guy.
What's the difference? What do we define a good and a bad trade as? A good trade is one where we follow our rules, win, lose, or draw. A bad trade is one where we break our rules, win, lose, or draw. And in my opinion, I told the traders this in the room this morning, this would have been a bad trade. And the reason why is, well, if you just take a look at New Zealand dollar, if we scroll out our charts, you can even go to a higher time frame. Ask yourself this question: What are we doing here? I mean, just look at the chart. What direction are we moving?
Okay, we're going down, but not in a straight line. What about this over here? Holy mackerel, man. Not a bad trade. Wow. Now, that's my favorite kind of trade, but that's just me. That's my style,
Right? If we've got the same pair of eyes, you're seeing what? You're seeing a movement from the upper left-hand corner down to the bottom right-hand corner. That screams bearish trend, bear trend, bear trend, bear trend. If we're in this heavy bearish trend, is getting bullish down here, is that the right move to make? Are we getting involved on the right side of the market? Probably not. And again, sometimes it will work in your favor, but more times than not, you're going to get burnt by it, and then you're going to come back and you're going to wonder, well, do these ABCD patterns really work?
If you get burnt by it, and you have a tight stop, the only thing that gets burnt is your ego. You're like, damn. Now, I traded a demo account here recently. Of course, the broker went bankrupt. I made a pile of money. In a week, I made over 100%. Right? I think I made like 130 something percent. I had tight stops. I totally counter-10 traded. In fact, I never sold. All there was buy the euro. The euro was tanking. I made piles of money. So I would say your rule needs to be, and when I use the word tight stop, I just mean that in relationship to your profit. In other words, if you're risking 100 pips to make 300 pips, that's a tight stop. I mean, tight is relative to the take profit. I'm just saying, right? Risk to reward ratios of 1 to 3. You don't always get that, right? And of course, you're going to get. I'm presupposing you are going to buy down here, but you're not going to do dumb stuff.
Out more than I'm making profit off of it.
Yeah, you get stopped out more, but let's face it. If you got stopped out on this buy here, and then you got stopped out here, and look at this, right? Look at that wick on that. Wow. So, right?
And then you get into that level where you're either consistently break even or you're just doing a slow leak of your account. Now, again, if we had a major level of structure down here, that would be a different story. But the point is, we want to go through that IPDE process before each trade. Identify, predict, decide, execute.
All right. Well, look, identify. That's the analysis. Predict? Yeah. I guess you want to predict the direction. Decide? Well, I let the market decide. Predict? You have to predict both directions. You have to basically see this from the standpoint of the bulls and the bears. What are the bulls thinking? What are the bears are thinking? Obviously, it's going down, but holy mackerel, what do you call this? you can tell me it's going down, but what is this all about? What is that? It doesn't go in a straight line. I mean, you've got to somehow, unless you're going to trade it from both directions, and you could buy and sell, and that's going to take some serious zen, because you're going to have to be able to be like water, like Bruce Lee. Be like water. You're going to have to be able to go any direction. But that's not true in the normal world. Like, people have a political view. They keep it for maybe until they're dead. They're like, no, this is right. That's wrong. That's just how it is. I don't want to hear the other side. Not in trading, though. You want to make money in trading, you got to be flexible. You got to be dynamic. You got to be everything you could never be in a normal job. Like, you cannot come into work. These markets are so out of control and chaotic, and you can't go into a job dressed in a suit and tie one day and come in a bathing suit the next day. Next day, come in a clown suit. They're just going to fire you. But trading, you can do that. I mean, trading's the one job where, yeah, okay, I'm going to, it's clown day.
When we want to identify what is the market doing. Right? Identify, predict. What is the market doing?
Well, hell, it's looking for liquidity. It's going up and down, right?
What is the market likely to do next? And when we go through that process, at that point, we want to make a decision. No matter what the technique is, ABCDs, double bottoms, double tops, whatever you have it, what side of the market do we want to be on today? Do I want to be on the bullish side, or do I want to be on the bearish side? And we want to focus our attention on the side that we choose. So me personally, for this trade, I would be looking for the next bearish opportunity. Again, the market has been going down, going down, going down. We still have room to the downside. I think our next structure lows are, let's bring a line down here. Our next structure lows are really, we have some closes right here close to market. Our next structure lows are really down here at the 65.70 level. So we can continue lower here on New Zealand.
Can we continue lower? Now, he published this on July 2nd, which today's the 4th, so that's like Thursday, right? Now, I put up my chart here. New Zealand dollar, here's a daily. Could we go lower? Okay, let's take a look at the monthly, right? Where's the next pivot? Where's the next support level on close? This soft spot right here, right? Yeah, could we go lower? Oh my God, we just keep going to China, right? But he's on the 60-minute chart. Now, this was the bad trade he talked about, and he was going to short it when it rallied, right? But he was going to short it. Where would you short it? I would have shorted it here, right? This is the last known bottom. I didn't get filled. So now, what's the matter with putting? Now, this is a tactical. I'm going to call it tactical trading. I'm not going to call it. What he's calling it is technique and strategy. But this would be a strategy too, right? We put a buy limit here. I mean, a buy stop here above this fractal, right? We have a double top. And I'm identifying. So I'm in the identification stage. What's his other thing? What does he say? He's going to predict it. Okay, so I'm predicting that we're going to go to... we're going to go up and retest this thing. It's not a big trade. These are typically, there's not really that great of setups in here. Let's zoom out one level here. He's pretty zoomed out, but I don't like to get that zoomed out because then I can't see the forest for the trees. And I'm definitely got buy limits down here. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't really prefer to do this trading either, is to put the buy limits down here, if we come down. And a lot of, it's a matter of, I guess, trust in the fact that buy low, sell high works. And I want to buy low, sell high, regardless. Okay, we can go to the 1 hour chart here, right? So a retest down here, I definitely want to buy this, right? There's a wick there. I want to buy that. And I really don't care. I got orders all over the place, and I'm willing to be a buyer and a seller. But as far as this thing continuing lower, yeah, I guess this is where you're short here. You scooched your stop up, right? For the guys that are going to trade this and hold this puppy when it blows out this bottom and stuff, yeah, they're going to scooch it up to here and stuff. It's all well and good. And it's not like this guy's not going to make money. I'm just saying, can we please question some of these, I guess, cliches or these kind of things that people identify, predict, decide, execute? Yeah, the execution, I wonder if he's getting in on limits, stops, or at the market. Now, that's a whole nother ball of wax. In fact, trading at the market, like I say, on a 5 or 1 minute chart for scalping is great, but if you really believe that this thing's going to keep going to China, and I don't, he's on the, okay, he's on the daily chart now. So if I go to my daily chart and I just go daily and zoom in one level, and I got this set up to delete these objects. I'll put the chart shift on here so I can see into the future a little bit. It doesn't seem to delete those. Okay, I don't have those set up. Anyways, so we're here, and yeah, we're still tanking, but holy mackerel. Now, in his price pause projection, which he did this thing, right? We're going to truncate that tool. And we're just going to turn off the raise so we can use this as our price pulse extension. So we made that target, and the bigger target would be if we came off of this to that, right? So yeah, we're projecting down here. I don't see a problem with putting a buy limit down here. In fact, just putting a pile down here and just counter trend trading that, or just looking to pick the bottom. And they say you can't pick bottoms. Just another myth, just another, because some guy did it, right, and he screwed it up. Of course, I can't say the same thing for socialism. That doesn't work all day long. It doesn't matter how many times you try to redo it. But that's what they tell you. You just haven't done it right? You just haven't enslaved enough people yet to really get it right. But see that little notch there? That's the daily. So definitely want to be buying the New Zealand down here. Without regard to any kind of, and the Fibonacci, it's so wrong. It's so distracting. It's just another thing to upset you. See, this bottom became this top here when we broke through, and then we almost perfectly came back to there. That was your, and you also had this one here. So you definitely were thinking, wow, when it comes back into that window and they have a double top here, right? Isn't it easier just to see this stuff like this than it is to break out a fib tool and try to cue it? You see how the problem he had fumbling with that fib tool? It's just, it's worthless. It's the most mystical. It's like people that see a Da Vinci Code, right? Da Vinci Code. I'm sorry. There are no chemtrails. The Earth's not flat. There's no such thing as a false flag. Stuff just happens, and people can't get their brain around it. It's called, I think, Occam's razor, right? It's just the simplest explanation is the best. Thank you.
Even if you're someone that is, you pay attention to fundamentals and you say that, hey, right now the dollar, despite a bad release today, the dollar is one of the strongest pairs out there. Why? Because interest rate hike. New Zealand dollar, what did they just do? They just cut rates, and they may cut rates.
Let's not forget, the New Zealand dollar's been tanking this whole time, and then they cut the rates here. Yeah, I could say it's priced in the market. Time to go the other way, because I'm a contrarian all day long, and I'm totally disagreeable.
Again, so even from the fundamental standpoint, you want to be bearish here. So what I would be saying to myself is I want to identify what the market's doing.
I can't wait to see what happens with New Zealand dollar. I don't trade it, but just to show you how he's falling into this, it's bearish, the trend's down. Man, I'm telling you what, some of these counter trend moves, quick and dirty pips. But he looks like an ethical guy, not a quick and dirty guy.
We're going down here. I want to predict what the market's likely to do next. The market is likely to get to our next level of structure down in this area. And the question I'm going to ask myself is not only where is the market likely to go, but how is the market likely to go there? And we know that, if I can move this thing, there we go. We know that once we get a new structure low here, new structure low should be followed by what? It should be followed by outside return. So the question I have is, where can I hop on the retracement? Where is this market going to pull back to, and how can I hop on? And looking left, I'm not going to, I don't want to turn this into a whole lesson on structure. I'll tell you some places you can go for free where you can learn about that later, but
Okay, that's 16 minutes. Now, that's where I would sell too, but we never made it there. As you can see, he published this on Tuesday. If you go to the 1 hour chart, let's take a look at that puppy, right? We never made it back to there. We all wish we would have. And that kind of says something too. In other words, his entry would have been here. Mine would be a little more aggressive, which would be I would sell here. We never made it there. There is a soft spot here. If I went to the half hour chart, there probably is, but we still didn't make it there. I don't see a place to get short this puppy. So this looks like a decent attempt at a rally here, but we're just not getting there, right? So it's not to mean we can't make it back up there, but if we do make it back up there, it's going to be too late. I've been trading a long time, and I must say that time does affect this market. As the time goes on, this isn't going to be a good place to sell anymore. If this thing drifts sideways, it's going to be a good place to maybe scalp off of, but it doesn't mean this thing's going to continue in a downtrend, right? And like I said, in the end, it's about how tight is your stop, right? Okay, so we're projecting down to this level. We go to the 1 hour, and you can see these projections are kind of ridiculous. Let's go to the 4 hour. Let's compromise. Okay, yeah, looks like it's going to keep falling, right? Is it too late to get on? I go to the half hour. I don't know. The spread's so ridiculously wide. Of course, on close here, it's insane. But, in a scalper's world, they don't care about this other stuff like fundamentals and all this crap. It just doesn't matter, right?
The area I would be lining up is right here, our previous structure low, and our most recent outside return. And this would turn into my kill zone, or a kill zone for you guys that like doing that. So I'm asking myself, in this area, where can I get short? And
I think when he says kill zone, he means he's going to call off plans to short it, but I think that would be the best place to short it, right in there.
Hop on this trend. And we can do lots of things to identify this area. We can shrink this kill zone down by doing what? Fibonacci retracement. Look at that, 618 right in there at previous structure. Let's see if we just take a higher one here. Again, this is my first time really looking at this, so I don't know. But you can do the normal tools that we do to break down our kill zone: fib retracement, fib extension, harmonic moves on a lower time frame, RSI, the normal stuff. The point is, the decision I want to make is I want to be bearish on this market, so I'm taking my brain. I'm only looking for bearish opportunities.
Okay, well, there you go. So he's got a bias, and not a good thing. Not a good thing for a beginner's mind. Not a good thing when you're in martial arts and you come up against an opponent. You don't want to presume anything about them. In fact, if they seem to be, the last thing I studied was Tai Chi, and these Tai Chi guys will kill you because they match your breathing. I mean, I studied with a Russian martial artist in Systema. And these people, what they do is they mirror you, they match your breathing, they get inside your head, they become you, and any move you make, they can already see it coming. Just like when people are playing tennis, top pros that play tennis, they don't see the ball coming at them. They're already ready to hit the ball back, and their eyes see it. Their eyes connected right to their hand. It doesn't go through their brain. Like they're just, here comes the ball, and there's their reflex, right? So it's all muscle memory. And, this guy's going to be, he'll make money, right? But you really want to make a killing, don't you? I mean, how long are these markets going to exist? They're already, it's amazing the amount of regulation. It's already just difficult. When I switched from trading commodities at the Chicago Board of Trade with having thousands of dollars in an account just to comply with some garbage margin stuff, and then here came Forex, and I really think that's what Dodd-Frank was, just lobbied by all the floor traders that were like, well, we're not making money running across the floor now. People getting real-time data trading Forex at 501 leverage. We can't have that, right? So they just put a kibosh on it, right? So you kind of want to, you always want to be making money at least every 2 hours, right? You can't find a setup on the 5-minute chart.
Now, another good example of an ABCD pattern, one that would be a good opportunity in my opinion, would come on the dollar Canada. And I want to make sure I didn't have a chance to fully reload my battery, so I want to make sure my camera doesn't die on me. Get through this thing quick. Now I'm on the weekly on Canada, and the two things I see are right here. We see previous consolidation right here back in 2009, a long time ago. But more importantly, we see current consolidation up here on the weekly chart. And for you guys that
now notice he hasn't done any trades. He hasn't said where they get his stop limits or markets. And another thing is, I need to put sugar in my coffee. Another thing is that, for God's sakes, I didn't know. I just started watching this video, so I didn't know it was moving on the Canadian dollar. So let me put up my Canadian dollar chart, right? Unless I put it in here. No, it looks like it's all the pound here. So let me look at Canadian dollar here. Now, seriously, I also want to get this thing where you want to date 20 women, right? Why don't you just trade the euro, man? There's so much money in the euro dollar. I get that everybody's like, well, let me go over and take my tool. I'm going to do this thing here, and blah blah. Okay, he's looking at so much data. Another thing is, why does he have all that data up there? Okay, here's the monthly, right? This is a better view, right? We can see each month. I mean, this is another thing. I see this all the time. Why do people have all this data on the screen? Come on, man.
I've been following Canada for a while. The daily chart, again, you see what? We've come up here. We've consolidated. We had a little markdown right here. Price action came back into structure. Thought we may see a continuation down, but we didn't quite get that far. And now we've just broken our previous structure levels, coming right back up into that previous consolidation. So I would expect to see some type of reaction up here with dollar Canada. And again, how can I get involved? So the mindset I'm in, identify, predict, decide, execute, is I want to get short, right? I want to get short at this area if the opportunity provides itself. I don't just want to sell for no reason, but I'd rather look to get short in this area rather than get long. So I'm taking half the battle away.
I agree. Are you going to pepper some limits in there? Or are you going to put one order in with a stop? If you put one order in with a stop, you're a fool. You're just a fool all day long. And you can make money doing that, but what makes you think you're going to pick the right price? And are you going to babysit this puppy? Hopefully you're going to be on the 5-minute when it happens, right? This is the daily chart, right? I'm going to go to the daily, what he's looking at, right? Oh, he wants to short it up there. Why not put a buy limit down here at previous thing? What do you care, right? Look how this became the pivot. And this is a real pivot. I was watching this other guy with a pivot formula. I'm sorry, you don't need a formula to do pivots. And the pivot formula is a floor trader thing. It's not even real. It has nothing to do with nothing, right? It's not the market. It's a formula, right? This top, right? Does this top mean anything? Yeah, sure. Does this top mean anything? Yeah, that top became a bottom. I mean, I haven't even looked at this damn chart. I can just cut through it in 10 seconds and show you every pivot. This is a major pivot cluster, right? We cleared that puppy. You want to buy here if it comes back, and as far as selling, oh yeah, my first sell is going to be right there where he's going to put his stop, right? I don't even know what he's, but I'm just, okay, let me go back to this guy, right? And I'm not being a hater, right? I'm being a curiosity seeker. I'm being a critic of this three drives, Fibonacci, all these tired tools that people use. All this, what I consider to be complete garbage. Look at this. AB equals CD. Good, right? Example of a good AB equals CD. Now he's already he's primed himself for, he built this thing with the lines, and I don't even know, he's drawing these lines just like in the middle of nowhere. And for God's sakes, people, turn off the candles.
And we can do the same analysis like we did on the Kiwi. We could take a harmonic move here. Let's just,
oh, honey.
Boom. We can take swing low to swing, come on. Here we go. We can take swing low to swing high, our A to B lead. We can. Okay, I'm giving a break because he was been tutored by Jason. So everybody's gonna pass on all of the bad stuff from the past. I mean, this is what you're having with the politics, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a totally not into this whatever this Confederate flag is.
symbols. I don't care if you put a Nazi flag up. It doesn't bother me. I don't care if you put up a Japanese flag with a kamikaze guy, and I mean, it just doesn't matter. If you're swayed by that, wow, you're a knuckle dragger. If that really affects your life.
Look at that retracement. I can go ahead and clone this initial leg here, and you're going to see that I'm going to get a harmonic move right at these structure highs. Now, again, what's the difference between this and the New Zealand trade? Akil, they're both ABCD patterns. What's the difference? Well, this ABCD pattern comes right at previous structure. I have an easily how I come on.
Man, what if they blow through that puppy? You know what they typically do at those zones is they will break that out. Of course, he's still not describing how he's going to get in, whether he gets in a stop, whether he gets in a limit, where he gets into the market, babysits this thing till it gets up there, or he sets an alarm, wakes up, he's like, oh, yeah. But break out, pull back, and then bust through. Don't forget, when this dollar, if you're looking at the monthly, if we take out this, forget about it, right? It's just going to go. It's going to go. Parabolic, right? It's just going to go nutsoid to the upside, right? Of course, to me, it's totally like, this is definitely resistance, right? He's right. It's a resistance. But still hasn't described, we still haven't heard how his technique, and it's funny, like he started off with technique, but apparently he's not going to give us no technique. We're 10 minutes in, right? I'm 46 minutes into criticizing him, but.
I use Ninja more than TradingView. I'm talking about TradingView today, so I'm still using it, but see, it's not as easy to use. It's a great platform, not as easy to use. But we have our ABCD pattern here, right? We have our structure level right here. If I'm a bearish trader, I know exactly where stops need to be. Boom, above previous structure highs. Why? Because if we penetrate.
Okay, I'm not gonna. He was, I'm not gonna blame him too much because Jason probably told him this. Put your stops up there. No, I think that's where you want to put your sell limits. Let's see what happens, right? Let's if this guy's right, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about how tight's your stop, right? In the end, it's money management, position sizing. It's all that matters. And that's what nobody talks about. And we all love patterns because we all love hot babes when you look at a girl and she's just gorgeous, you're like, why is she so gorgeous? Well, usually she's symmetrical. She hasn't been in an auto accident. And that pattern, it's totally, you always wonder, is it just instinctual? Like, why? Man, she's just striking looking, right? Just absolutely stunning. And you always want to put your finger on, well, what is it, right? And you're like, well, I don't know. I mean, she's kind of haunting looking. Never seen her before, right? So she's a fresh new pattern. And you're like, yeah, but there's similarities between the other hot girls I know.
Trade these structure highs and this level becomes invalid. I know that I'm wrong. And if I know that I'm wrong, I want to be out of the trade. And you can set up your risk reward accordingly with the news.
I almost get the feeling he's going to trade one position on this, right? He's going to trade one positions. Entry stops and targets before the trade. Always, right? But no scaling for him.
Zealand, again, we were kind of in no man's land. Not only were we going against the trade or against the trend, the pure counter trend.
I love no man's land.
Move, but we were in no man's land. There was no safe place to really put a stop loss that would tell us.
Well, let me tell you something. If you're trading and looking for a safe place, you are in the wrong business.
That we're wrong and to get out. And we can have a stop loss in, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're wrong because there's no structure to justify that. And I'm sorry if this is a little confusing. I originally had an entirely different lesson I want to teach. I want to talk about trend continuation.
Oh no, I love where it's going.
Trading and catching the outside return, and then this was a perfect example that
don't apologize.
Came up today, and I have been getting a lot of questions about it. I have been seeing a lot of traders post here on TradingView of just, I don't like judging other people's trades, but some stuff that just is like, why would you do that? So hopefully this video will help them. But you guys can see the difference here. Again, we have previous structure, we have protection, and that's what we're looking for in a stop loss. We want to have protection. So, we also have, we talked about this earlier. Sorry about that. Camera died. But we also have this one here. If we look at this formation, some of you are seeing this already, we have a potential advanced pattern as well. If I take these highs, we're looking at a swing high to swing low. Fibonacci retracement, we pass our 618. That puts us on Gartley pattern completion. And for my...
Okay, that's where I'm going to have to bail. But thanks for tuning in. I'm just saying, seriously, when I started watching these flat Earth people on YouTube, and I mean these are 1 to 2 hour videos on how the Earth is not round, there's no proof for it. I think there was some pictures taken from the moon looking back, but it's curious to, and a lot of these people like say this is not a joke. But the scary thing is to see the comments by viewers saying stuff like, "Yeah, I never thought about it." But this is, you know, I'm not a flat earther, but let's think about some of the stuff that we've all learned, we've all been told. And I mean, there's people trading Renko charts and point and figure charts. I mean, you can buy books. And another thing is like Wiley and Sons. My God, why does a trading book cost $100? Right? Why is it $50 for a 50-page book on Fibonacci? Because they think, well, you know, these people that, you know, they're going to pay that money. These are financial books, and there's just always been something about bankers and financial people and stuff where you say, wow, this is serious. You know, the people are wearing suits and ties, so obviously there's some type of you know, we have to be serious. You know, put your clothes back on, right? I mean, no Speedos allowed in the boardroom, and it's just the whole seriousness of it's really kind of ruins the fun of trading. And trading should be like, if you've got, I'm gonna say it again, if you got risk to reward ratios that aren't that like you're gonna risk $2 to make $6 or $10, hell, trade the news, right? I mean, does it really matter? And it doesn't matter. I think it's a sense of this guy's just he's too strict, and he's not showing, he hasn't yet to say how he's getting in these markets. 12 minutes in, apparently he's going to move to another currency pair, but I'm not going to bore you to death with all that nonsense. But I'm just saying, like, can't we just question the so-called experts? Of course, like, anybody can be an expert now on YouTube, right? I mean, it's basically taken, I mean, certainly he's better than the guy on TV who's telling you all this nonsense. It's just a paid guy in a suit on TV and analyzing the markets. But when you dig down to the dirty details of trading, it has to do with these wicks, right? Like this wick here. That's the issue. How do you make money on that? And how do you not get stopped out on that? And you know, how do you survive the tumultuous, just the turbulence of these markets? Okay? I'm just saying.